Anitha, good evening, one and all. Welcome to the Positive Health Healers Mental Health Webinar Series. I would like to welcome all the participants on behalf of the organizers and the founder, director, and resource person. I would like to welcome all for the today's mental health webinar series by the Positive Health Healers. Today we are in the session of 12. The topic of the session is mental health and hygiene. The resource person is Mrs. Anitha Ramachandran. She is the primary grade teacher. She's working in Sharjah, United Arab Emirates. I would like to welcome today's resource person, director, all the organizers and participants on behalf of the Positive Health Village. I would like to hand the session to you. Anitha, ma'am, over to
Yeah,
you.
thank you. Good evening, everyone. Yes, sir. Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much to the organizers of the Positive Health Healers team, Shweta, and the others for giving me an opportunity to be here for this mental health webinar. And I will be speaking mental. Okay, any further ado, I would mental health as we done. The concept of health, as given by the WHO, the health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. Again, when we look into the aspect of health, mental health becomes a part of the health. You have physical health and you have mental health, they are also interrelated. Physical health is as important, and mental health is also very, very important. There's a saying which says a sound mind in a sound body is important in approaching saying for good health. Why, when you have a physical health issue, you will go to the doctor, you will approach the doctor. For example, if you have diabetes or if you have any kind of problem like hypertension, you will go and approach your general physician and take treatment immediately. This is not the case with when it comes to mental health. Why I'm saying this is that there's a lot of stigma attached to mental health. Okay, people have a tendency to either not recognize that a person is suffering from a mental illness, or they would not approach the doctor or a psychiatrist, okay, because of the stigma attached to it. And they have a feeling, very often they have a feeling that they would be judged by other people that this person is mad and having a mental health issue. So it is very important for us to recognize when there is a physical health, you should also recognize that there is a mental health issue. And this is a very scientific world where people should not hesitate when you have a mental health problem, and you should recognize it. Either the patient himself or herself or the family member should report of such problems, recognize it, and then go to a psychiatrist or go to a counselor or a psychologist or a social worker to take immediate help. Now, when we are talking about I just spoke about social stigma regarding mental health. That's very important. Okay, one needs to be aware of mental health problems and recognize it. When you're talking about mental health, it's all about the mind. Okay, it's inside our mind. How we think about our thoughts, how we feel, our emotions, that is our reaction or our feelings towards certain life experiences, and how we express those emotions. That's important. How we recognize it and express it, and how we perceive the world through our various sense organs. Okay, and how we react to what is happening in our lives. Okay, you have various life experiences, and that is how we react to what is happening in our lives. And that is a reflection of our mental health. The definition of mental health, according to the World Health Organization, is a state of well being in which an individual realizes his or her own abilities, can cope with normal stresses of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to the community, that is, to the family and to the neighborhood. Okay, so this is a definition given by the WHO. According to American Psychological Association, emotional well-being, mental health, good behavioral adjustment. Your actions also become very, very important. Good behavioral adjustment in the society and towards the family members, relative freedom from anxiety, which is disturbing you throughout your life and disabling symptoms because of a mental illness, and the capacity to establish constructive relationships and to cope up with ordinary demands and stresses of life. So these are the definitions given by the American Psychological Association and the WHO. Now, the importance of mental health. Why should you have good mental health? It helps us in the development of a desirable personality. That means your attitude, your traits, your personality, how you are made as a person. It helps in proper emotional development, proper social development, your relationships with the family, your relationship with the society, and helps in proper moral development. Your concept of having good values in your society and being constructive in society. That is the concept of being right and wrong. So, and helps in proper aesthetic development. Okay, so the art of beauty and even art help in actualizing one's own potentialities. We know about the Maslow's theory of hierarchy of needs. The last stage he explains is when you've achieved all the other needs, and when all the other needs are met, you will have what is known as the self-actualizing need. So that is the final stage which Maslow has described. You're all aware of it. Helps in seeking proper adjustment in the society, helps in seeking goals of life, helps in the progress of the society, and helps in prevention of mental illness. That is also very, very important. So these are the factors which are important and tells you about the importance of mental health. When you take the components of mental health, you have what is known as physical. Physical includes our sleeping habits, very important, your diet, your exercise, and any medical issues, any physical illnesses which would also contribute to your mental health. For example, if you have diabetes, chronic diabetes, it will definitely affect your mental health because you have to take care of your diet, you have to take care of your physical exercising, everything, right? You have to make some changes in your lifestyle, so that becomes very important. Your emotional, this includes our emotions of being very happy, sad, anger, and love, and how we express and feel them in situations. Social refers to how we interact with people and our communication skills, how we speak and interact with others. The other components of mental health being, you have what is known as a mental component, how we think about and how we talk to ourselves. That is the self-talk. How do you communicate to your own self? There is a lot of talk that is important and which has to be positive. I'll be speaking about it a little later in my session. Spiritual, having a purpose and a meaning in life. Behavioral, how we act, our thoughts and emotions, our actions. Okay, that refers to the behavioral component of mental health. Ways of pursuing, how do we look at mental health and what do you think? Thinking, which actually refers to your cognitive component of mental health. You recognize your thoughts, that's very important. You have to be mindful about your thoughts also. How do you respond to your thoughts? Do you feel good about it? Do you feel very bad about it? Either positive or negative feelings. And thoughts that produce certain feelings are very, very important. Now, the other ways of perceiving mental health is what you feel, that is your emotions. Feeling is the emotional component of mental health. You recognize the source of your feelings. How do you respond to those feelings? Either do you respond positively or do you respond negatively to your feelings? And feelings that is produced by those thoughts and your life experiences. Yes, the next third way of looking at mental health is how you act. That is your behavioral component. Action is the behavioral component of mental health. Your thoughts and feelings result in actions. Check before you act, and actions can be healthy or unhealthy. Why we are talking about actions being healthy and unhealthy is if your coping styles are quite poor, and if you do not have proper coping styles, you can definitely get addicted to some substances like maybe smoking or addiction to substances like alcohol. Okay, so those also reflect your actions. Now, there are some factors which are responsible for poor mental health. You have certain biological factors, you have complications at birth, you have certain genetic factors, you can inherit mental illness. When mental illness is there in some family members, there are chances that you can inherit, from those family members. Hereditary factors are there, and drug induced. Sometimes substances like alcohol can lead to alterations in the mood and can lead to psychotic phenomenon also in your mind. And so we have to be careful about that. Your physical health, accidents, physical deformities, that can also contribute to poor mental health. You can have very, very bad feeling about, you can perceive yourself as being a very person with a poor self-esteem if you have some kind of a disability, because you are not in a position to do certain tasks like other normal people. Have I made myself clear? Am I clear, Shweta? Clear so far? Okay. Psychological also refers to trait and your personality pattern. It also reflects your personality pattern, which is there. Now, the other factors which are responsible for poor mental health is the role of the family. Very, very important. Okay. So, family environment, how the family members interact with each other, and what are the communication patterns, and what are the kind of groups which are there inside the family. The father and daughter can form a group. Okay, in a family of four, nuclear family, whether it's a joint family. So, those kind of factors will also be responsible, which can contribute to poor mental health. And discipline in the family status, the economic status, it can be the financial status, the economic status, the role of the school. If you take a child, okay, the school atmosphere, the school curriculum, which can give a lot of pressure, and academic pressure can be there for a child, peer pressure can be there for a child. Okay, so these are the factors. The teacher's approach, a teacher has to be very, very sensitive to each child's feelings, and should be aware of the kind of learning patterns of each child. It's quite hard in a class of 40 sometimes, but a teacher should know the kind of learning styles of each child in the class. The role of the society, you have certain cultural norms, certain religious rituals, very important, because sometimes we do not, because of the stigma again, and people do not have a proper awareness about mental health, and recognizing the symptoms of mental illness. What happens is that they would go to faith healers, and then that is a way of consoling themselves. Definitely later on they will approach a psychiatrist or a counselor for help. Social status also of the family is responsible for poor mental health. Again, there are threefold domains of mental health. You can see it from the psychological aspect, that is the individual, biological, which is also again individual, and social. Psychological, learning, again emotions, thinking, we spoke about it, attitude, whether you have a positive attitude or a negative attitude, again your memory, your perception through your sense organs, your belief systems, your values, your stress management strategies. How do you cope with the problems in your life and your stresses in your life? Again, biological, you have a genetic predisposition. That means if a family member is mentally ill, there are high chances that you will also develop the illness. Now, neurochemistry, again, it is also related to the brain, and that is why we are talking about medication for depression. Okay, a person suffering from severe depression would definitely require some kind of medication in order to function better, and then later you can go for therapy. And effect of medications, immune response, HPA axis, flight and fight response. This is actually related to the stress hormones. A person in a situation, for example, if just walk into a forest and then there's a tiger which comes, and then what will you do? Either you fight, you stay there, fight, and then or you leave the place. Okay, so that is the fight and the flight response. You have psychological responses to some of the stressors. Again, social support refers to the family and the support from the neighborhood, the family background of a person, the interpersonal relationship between two people, and cultural traditions, the medical care facilities, the socio-economic status, which will also contribute to the mental health. Again, poverty conditions, poor housing conditions, poor sanitation facilities, domains of mental health that we can talk about. Again, you have there are 10 issues which have a negative impact on our mental well-being. You have anxiety, which shows studies have shown that 13% of people suffer from anxiety disorders. Relationship issues, you have 13% again. Mood disorders, 12%, either depression or the other side of this one being very, very happy. I'm talking about the bipolar affective disorder. Work-related issues, 10%. Legal worries, 8%. Stress, 8%. Bereavement, if you've lost a member in the family, bereavement, 6%. Family issues, 5%. Traumatic incidents, 4%. Financial worries, also 4%. Now, how would you describe the characteristics of a mentally healthy person? One who has an adaptable and realistic mind, one who's very, very practical and can adapt to any kind of stressors in the environment, conscious control of life. This, you can also call it a mindful kind of living, and adopt mindful techniques. Cheerful or optimistic outlook, that means positive. You look at the positive aspect of your life. Even if you have negative life experiences, you will be very, very cheerful and remain very, very optimistic. Believe me, it's a little hard, but then if you practice it, I think it's going to, you are going to benefit a lot from it. Well regulated instincts, emotionally very, very balanced, insight into one's own conduct. You recognize how you behave and recognize your own actions, and enthusiastic and reasonable, good tempered and quite calm, socially adaptable. You're able to adjust with people in your surroundings and your family. Now, the other characteristics of a mentally healthy person would be one who defines a philosophy of life, one who has a healthy habits and attitude. He has a capacity to think independently and take decisions. One who's satisfied in life, one who has realistic imagination, one who's very, very practical, one who has a normal sex consciousness, good physical health and understanding of the environment. Now, again, when you talk about mental, next slide, Shweta. Shweta, can I have the next slide, please? Yeah, thank you. So, definition of mental illness, according to the American Psychological Association, Psychiatric Association, I'm sorry. Mental illnesses are health conditions involving changes in emotions, your thinking, your behavior, or a combination of these. There can be a combination of these, and mental illnesses are associated with distress or problems functioning in social, work, or your family activities. The Mental Health Care Act of 2017 defines the mental illness as a substantial disorder of thinking, that is a disorder of your thinking, your mood, your perception, your orientation, your memory, that grossly impairs your judgment or your ability to meet ordinary demands of life. And mental health conditions can also be associated with the abuse of alcohol and drugs, which I had mentioned earlier. So, use of alcohol and drugs can also trigger mental illness sometimes, and psychotic this one. These are some of the statistics of mental illness. Mental health matters, and findings. There are findings. I will share the PPT so that you can have a look at all these. When you take the difference between signs and symptoms of a mental illness, a sign is something that is observed externally. It is more objective, and a symptom is more subjective. That is, a symptom is described by the person who is suffering, and a sign is observed by the other person. For example, temperature, moisture are all signs. Okay, you have what is known as heart rate, which is seen by another person, and the color, also observed by the other person, which is more and more objective. Okay, when the person expresses that. Okay, feelings of dizziness, nausea, pain, and fatigue. It's more of a subjective thing, and that is called the symptoms. Now, common signs of mental illness are there are some observable categories. Now, thought patterns, disturbances in thought patterns, logic, your concentration, your memory, your situational understanding. Whatever you observe is you have thoughts racing. For example, expresses racing. The person expresses that, expressing racing of thoughts, disconnected thoughts, which is usually seen in schizophrenia. Okay, we're talking about formal thought disorder there. Expressing racing of thoughts is when a person has what is known as a flight of ideas. When you have a mood disorder, a person who has in the is in the manic phase and expresses bizarre ideas. This is very commonly seen and very commonly seen in schizophrenia. And yeah, the previous slide, yeah. Response to unusual voices or visions. We're talking about hallucinations. Yeah. Affect mood. Eye to eye contact, outbursts, bursts of emotions and indifference. Now, appears very, very sad. Okay, when we're talking about an affective disorder where you have a person with in a manic phase and a depressive phase. Okay, we call it the bipolar affective disorder. A person can either have many phases of depression or can have many phases of mania. It can be both. They can switch over between the mania and depression. Now, that is called an affective disorder where a person appears sad, depressed, or overly high spirited. High spirited in the case of manic episode, overwhelmed by circumstances. He wants to finish his task, but he does not. He starts the task, but he's not able to complete it. Okay, he keeps on talking all the time and does not stop. Now switches emotions abruptly. A person who is in mania, you will think that he is very, very happy, but suddenly he's going to start crying. Okay, manic person in a manic episode is in a phase of denial. Okay, schizophrenia people have what is known as they break down. Okay, and it's not that schizophrenia people do not have phases of depression and mania. They do have affective features as well. Now, again, when you talk about cognition, thinking, you have pace of thinking, which is very, very fast in a person with mania, continuity of thought, whether it's their vocabulary. A person with schizophrenia will definitely use some bizarre kind of vocabulary, which you will not be able to comprehend or understand. Appears very, very confused, disoriented to person, place, or time, has gaps in memory, answers questions inappropriately. When you take the interview during your the first interview, the mental status examination, you observe that a person answers questions inappropriately. Speech, rationality, tempo is usually very, very fast in affective disorder. A person who's in the manic episode, grasp of reality. Now, speaks too quickly or too slowly. A person in depression would definitely speak very, very slowly. He would tell you that he's feeling very, very hopeless, sad, excessively sad for no reason. And he would also tell you that he does not have any energy. And when he's been meeting friends very often, and you will see there's a sudden withdrawal and change in his behavior. He would not enjoy that anymore. Now, Mrs. Words again. When we are talking about mania, he speaks very, very fast. A person in a manic phase would speak very, very fast. There's a lot of pressure of speech, and then he misses a lot of words. Stutters or has long pauses in speech. If you ask him a question, sometimes during your first interview or maybe the subsequent interviews, they will not answer it. Okay, some of the questions go unanswered. You will just wait as a therapist, but you will not get answers there. Speech again. Now, rationality, tempo, grasp of reality again. Let us go to appearance. You have what is known as hygiene. A person who has either schizophrenia would definitely not take care of personal hygiene. He has to be told, she has to be told to take care of personal hygiene, would not be well dressed, would wear shabby clothes, behavioral mannerisms can be there. Now, appears disheveled, has poor hygiene, inappropriate attire, and um, he has shakes or unable to sit or stand still. Okay, this can happen in catatonic schizophrenia. He might stand there like a statue, and then not respond back, saying that something has happened in the world and I'm not going to respond back. Okay, so you will just observe him quietly and record all those symptoms. Now, again, common symptoms of mental illness, again, confused thinking. You have feeling very, very sad, suicidal thinking, very severe case of depression. You have suicidal ideas. You have to be careful as family members and be very, very vigilant. Withdrawal from friends, does not interact with friends, excessive fears or worries, and major changes in eating habits, excessive anger, hostility, or violence, either towards the family members or if he walks into the neighborhood throwing stones at others. Okay, this could be in reaction to the delusions or hallucinations, hearing voices. I said hearing voices, and having thought disturbances. Now, trouble in understanding. So these are the common symptoms of mental illness. Again, you have stages in a mental illness. Stage 1, where you have mild symptoms and warning signs. Okay, the family is able to see that. Sometimes, very often, they are not able to recognize it. It takes a very long time for them to, if a person has been functioning very well. Now, sudden change is there in the behavior and appetite and sleep. He's not sleeping properly. We do not know what kind of stressors have been there. We have to find out what those stressors are there, which is contributing to that or aggravating those symptoms. Again, stage 2, symptoms increase in frequency and severity and interfere with life activities and rules. This is a stage when you have to recognize that, and we should not pay heed to what the other people will think about it, and we need to help the person. Okay, we have to take steps to help the person. Now, stage 3, symptoms worsen with relapsing. You have recurring episodes, again, accompanied by life activities and certain rules. Stage 4, you have symptoms are persistent. They are there for a very long time and very, very severe until it has disturbed the functioning of the individual. So that is a stage, again, when you have to recognize it and take steps to meet a psychiatrist or maybe go to the doctor, your general physician, and then he might refer to you to a psychiatrist. Please kindly do not hesitate, because you should not hesitate to help the person. The person and the family both require help at this stage. Now, what is mental hygiene? Mental hygiene is a science that attempts to develop and apply principles and techniques for the preservation and promotion of mental health, as well as for the prevention and treatment of mental disorders and abnormalities. And the main thing about mental hygiene is that taking care of the prevention as well as the treatment of a mental illness, recognizing those symptoms and taking treatment for the mental illness at the right time. Now, mental hygiene is also a general approach. Next slide, Shweta. Mental hygiene is a general approach. Shweta, can I have the next slide, please? Yeah, I think, yes, the next one. No, the previous one. Yeah. Thank you. Mental hygiene is a general approach aimed at maintaining mental health and preventing mental disorder through such means such as educational programs, promotion of a stable emotional and family life, prophylactic and early treatment services, and public health measures. Okay, so if the person needs to take medication, there should be a kind of maintenance, kind of dosage given to the person, and later on the psychiatrist or the team members take a decision to refer the person for counseling or therapy to a psychologist or a social worker or maybe a psychiatric nurse. Klein in 1965 has suggested that mental hygiene is concerned with realization and the maintenance of the mind's health and efficiency. Now, the different objectives of mental hygiene would be to diagnose and find out the factors behind one's mental illness, whether it is to recognize the biological factors or the stressors in the environment, the family environment, which has contributed, the work environment. If it's a child, it can be the school, to recognize the mental illness, to make to make able to cope up with one's own limitation. So you need to be aware of the coping strategies so far, or the steps taken by the family, the support systems, and the individual's own coping mechanisms in order to prevent and stop from being mentally ill, and to assist in realizing one's own potentials. Okay, one has to realize their own strengths and weaknesses in order to function well, to make enjoy in one's own profession and responsibilities, and to assist in also creating self-respect and mutual respecting others and respecting oneself, to create high and realistic aspirations, something that is really practical and something that has to work out. Mental hygiene aims at dealing with the mental illness of people so that to make them aware that what they do are inevitable part of the society. So that is very important. Again, there are four aspects of a healthy lifestyle. Food is the most important aspect of life. Now, the second one is, it's called ahara, right food. Vihara, right form of recreation. Next slide, Shweta. Can I have the next slide, please? Yes, thank you. Doing exercising and morning walks are the most important components of recreation. The third one is vichara, the right kind of thinking. One should have a sound and a positive mental health can only be maintained with the right kind of thinking. So you need to have a thought record. Make a record of your thoughts. There is no need for you to keep showing it to people, and keep it confidential, and have it for your own, checking later. Now again, routine. Your routine is also very important. Achara, which is a right routine. Routine consists of three kinds of activities. You have Ritu Acharya, which is a seasonal, Dinacharya, your day-to-day routine, and Ratri Acharya, whatever happens in the night. Now, these are some of the important things. And again, to maintain mental hygiene, tell yourself that was then and this is now. Okay, accept what is there, what is happening now. Please accept it. Kindly do not hold grudges against people. Can I have the next slide, Shweta? Shweta, the next one. Yeah. Don't hold grudges against people. It is difficult to practice, but once you practice, you're doing that for your own happiness. It takes a very long time for you to heal yourself. And once you practice that, I think you're going to feel very, very happy. And we've talked about forgiveness in many, many sessions also in the other platform. Again, maintaining mental hygiene would also include dump the junk out of your conscious thoughts. Accept yourself and your circumstances. Think that sometimes there are things under your control, and there are things, something which cannot be under your control. And accept yourself and your circumstances. Now, be kind even to your enemy, and avoid blaming others. Okay, that's a very good practice. Avoid blaming others. If you think you are at fault, just go and introspect about your own thoughts, whether you're going wrong somewhere, and take corrective steps, and be kind to your enemy. That is the other thing. We have other things like avoid being thinking and talking negatively. Recheck your hearing and your sight. Okay, whatever you hear good things about others. Okay, and think positively. That is very, very important. Help someone who's in need. Showing acts of kindness and being very, very compassionate to people. Remain engaged in an activity that seems worthwhile. Okay, if you're interested in some kind of hobbies, if you are interested in dance or music, okay, divert your mind to that. And if you listen to music, that is also contributes to the healing process. Again, if you think you should take a walk, drink a lot of water, deep breathing exercise, meditation, and you can do it to have a good mental hygiene and to maintain a good mental hygiene. Now, realize that your attitude makes a great impact. Your positive or your negative attitude makes a very, very great impact. Recognize your strengths and weaknesses and set goals accordingly. You should know yourself. Okay, be aware of yourself. We've talked about self-awareness in many of the sessions. Again, mental health checkup and a toolkit. There are things now. Taking care of your mental health is just as important as your physical health. And these exercises, some of these exercises, mentioned here would also help you cope up with your emotions, your worry, your stress. You're feeling upset and help you with certain situations that you can't do anything and you have to accept them. Give these exercises a try. A distraction tool, as I've already mentioned, doing something very distracting and distracting yourself or fun activities, focusing your attention in a very, very helpful way. It gives you something else to think about instead of what is bothering you. Try playing a game, a new game, listening to music, spending time with a pet, talk to your family members, connect with your friends. You can also learn some new hobbies, maybe gardening if you're interested in gardening, connect with nature, go out for a walk. You can do so many things to divert and distract your mind from those thoughts which you think will disturb you. Now, your relaxation tool would be showing your body down, calms your brain, and relaxes your body. Try taking 5 slow, deep breaths, lightening and releasing your muscles, or imagining being somewhere very, very peaceful, like a beach or walking in the woods or a forest. Your action tool again would be keeping a good schedule and doing your everyday activities helps you stay on track and be healthy in your body and your mind. Try sleeping with a regular schedule, drink plenty of fluids, eat nutritious meals, and exercising every day. That's very important. Your thinking tool would be noticing the realistic and positive parts of a situation, being very, very optimistic increases optimism in thinking, which can help you change how you feel. Try asking yourself, you can introspect, what are the good things that could happen? Or these things, they are not helping me. These thoughts are not helping me. These negative thoughts are really not going to help me. How differently can I think and make myself feel better? Now, pause and take a moment to check up on yourself and how do you feel? Consider each of these tools and start with the distraction tool and follow all these tools. The other things that is positive thinking, importance of positive thinking. You focus on the good things which are happening. They can be challenging situations and obstacles in your life, but you have to take that positively and see that as a part of learning. It is sometimes hard, but if you accept it as a tool for learning, definitely you're going to feel better. Practice gratitude. You can keep a gratitude journal for the good things that have happened. You can keep thanking God and be in prayers if that is very, very it's helpful to you. Now, open yourself to humor. You can watch a movie, something that shows a funny scene in a film. You can watch something funny. Spend time with positive people. Practice positive self-talk. Identify your areas of negativity. Start every day with a positive mood. That is very, very important. And yeah, the next slide, Shweta. The next, yeah, the next one again. Yeah. Now, positive thinking can lead to a lot of positive change in your life. Developing an optimistic outlook can be good for both your physical and your mental health. But sometimes certain situations arise in your life that makes it hard to have a positive outlook. Take steps to make positive thinking becoming more your second nature, and you'll reap some big benefits. When you think positively, you feel really good. You can heal yourself and feel good about it. There are some strategies. Spend time with positive people. If you surround yourself with constant complainers, their negativity is likely to rub off on you. Spend time with positive friends and family members to increase your likelihood that their positive thinking and habits will become your habits as well. It's hard to be negative when everyone around you is so positive. Even the person who speaks negatively would definitely become positive when he starts to interact with you. So, again, take responsibility for your behavior. When you encounter problems and difficulties in life, don't play the role of the victim. Acknowledge your role in the situation and take a responsibility for your behavior. Accepting responsibility can help you learn from mistakes and prevent you from blaming others unfairly. So take a responsibility, that is important. The next one, the third one would be, excuse me, yeah, contribute to the community. One of the best ways to feel good about what you have is to focus on what you have to give. Volunteer in some manner and give back to the community. Okay, you can either go to a hospital where you can speak to the terminally ill cancer patients. You can donate some money if you have, and you can do something like that, and that makes you feel, that gives you a very, very good feeling, and you're really happy about it. Helping others can give you a new outlook on the world and can assist you with positive thinking. Read positive and inspirational material. Spend time each day reading something that encourages positive thinking. Read the spiritual material or inspirational quotes to help you focus on what is important to you in life. Prioritize your things. It can be a great way to start and end your day. Recognize and replacing your negative thoughts. You will not be successful at positive thinking if you're still plagued by frequent negative thoughts. All of us do experience that. I have experienced it myself sometimes. Learn to recognize and replace those thoughts which are overly negative. Often thoughts that include words like always and never signal that they aren't true. If you find yourself thinking something such as, I always mess up with everything, replace it with something more realistic, such as, sometimes I make mistakes, but I learn from my mistakes. That is more important. There's no need to make your thoughts unrealistically positive, but instead make them more realistic and something which can work best for you. Now, the next one is establish and work towards your goals. It's easier to be positive about problems and setbacks which you have in your life when you have goals and that you're working towards that. Goals which will give you motivation to overcome these obstacles. When you encounter problems along the way, without clear goals, it's hard to make certain decisions and gauge your progress. So you should have clear, realistic goals. Also, consider the consequences of negativity. What is the result of being negative? Spend some time thinking about the consequences of negative thinking. Often it can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. For example, a person who thinks, I probably won't get this job interview, might put less effort into the interview. As a result, he may decrease his chances of getting the job. Now you can create a list of all the ways your negative thinking impacts your life. I told you earlier about the thought record, which you can maintain. It likely influences your behavior, your relationships, and your feelings. Then create a list of the ways in which positive thinking could be beneficial to you and which can help you. Offer compliments to others. Very important. You feel really good when you thank someone, when you appreciate someone. Look for reasons to compliment others. Be genuine in your praise and comments. It's not that you're just saying it out of this one. Genuinely, if there's something good about a person, please compliment that, but offer it frequently so that the other person also feels happy. This will help you look for good in other people. Create a daily gratitude list. If you start keeping a daily gratitude list, you will start noticing exactly how much you have to be thankful for. This can help you focus on the positive things in your life instead of thinking about all the negative experiences which you've had and the bad things that have happened in the day. Getting into the habit of showing an attitude of gratitude makes positive thinking more a habit. So have gratitude for everything. Maintain a gratitude journal also, and thank God for all the good things that have happened every day. The last being practice self-care. Please take care of yourself. Take good care of yourself, and you'll be more equipped to think positively. Get plenty of rest. That is very important. Your sleep. Take care of your sleep, your exercise, and practice managing your stress well. Take care of your physical and mental health well, which will provide you with more energy to focus on positive thinking. So thank you so much once again for giving me an opportunity, and any questions?
Thank you, Anitha, for the next wonderful session. Participant, you have any questions, you can interact with the resource person directly.
Thank you so much, Anita ma'am, for such a wonderful and
Yeah, Priya, yeah, please go ahead. Yeah.
thank you so much, Anita
Welcome.
ma'am, for
Welcome.
such a wonderful and
Thank you.
input. So much input
Most
you have put
welcome.
in the work hard. That's all I can say now.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Tina.
I think her voice was breaking. Any other questions?
Was it clear, Shweta? My voice, was it clear? Was it breaking?
Little breaking, ma'am. Once again,
I
you can
think
Okay.
no,
Okay.
no, ma'am, not your voice is clear. Your voice is now it's okay. I think there is no question, Antana. So, shall we go ahead with the vote of thanks, Sweta?
Sure, sir.
sure, sir.
Yeah, okay. It was a nice, wonderful session by Mr. Anitha Ramasundram. He explained very well, excellent presentation. There are lots of positive feedback in the chat, and content was very good, high content in mental health and hygiene. It was very well explained by, and I mean, all the despite we covered 360 degrees of the mental health and hygiene. Nice, wonderful presentations. And the participants, they are requesting the PPT fund, you can circulate for their betterment, they can uh, learning purposes. And kindly accept our gratitude on behalf of Positive Healthy Healing Group. I would like to once again thank you to you and all the organizers. Kind of our gratitude. Thank you, ma'am. Participant, we will have yet another wonderful session next Friday, same time, and Thursday, same time, same evening, same time. Thank you, participant. Thank you once again.
Thank
Thank you,
you,
Shweta.
everyone. Thank you, Shweta, for giving me an opportunity, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.